morning, everybody. And listen, it's a beautiful Sunday morning, the special edition of the Monday Morning Business Boost, brought to you by Monroe County Radio and Tino Amaya State Farm Insurance Agency. Typically, I'm your host, Tino Amaya, but today, for today's show, we have a moderator today. This is a roundtable discussion. We're going to talk all about COVID, the stay home, stay safe order, and also, the extension. We're talking a little bit about with local business owners about how it's affecting not only our business, but our community as a whole, and the impact that this might have going forward for some businesses that just might not make it through this. So, I want to welcome my good friend, Becky Clark. Becky, thank you so much for agreeing to moderate this and, allow me to actually be a guest on the show today. So thank you so much for being here this morning.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. I love this show that you're doing. You and I started talking about it months and months ago, and I love, the way it's shaped, actually. I think you're doing a lot of good. Today's show is going to be a little different. And first of all, I'll just let everyone know who I am. I am Becky Clark, good friend of Tino's, and I'm the Director of Sales at Monroe County Radio. This is an unusual time for everyone. And for those of us that are involved with Monroe County Radio, this really hits home hard for us, just because Monroe County Radio is just that. All of our content, sports, weather, news, every advertiser is locally owned. As many of you on the panel today can attest to, you are advertisers with our station. So this is an unusual thing. And with the extension, it does create additional issues. I'm going to start off by just sort of introducing all of those of you on the panel. And we're going to start with Deb. Deb owns Deb's Floral Design. Good morning, Deb.
Good morning, Becky. How are you?
I'm good. Honey, talk to us a little bit about how you've managed. And first of all, I want to say this, if I haven't mentioned it to you during the pandemic, I am so impressed with the way that you literally on a dime changed your business format. It's brilliant. And your rules, but what you're doing is you're looking for how can I continue to serve the community and do it differently. And I'm so impressed. But Deb, talk about how this is affecting you, what your plans are moving forward. What can we do to help you?
Well, I've had an amazing, I got to say it's been an amazing 2 months. One, because I've met a lot of different people through a lot of different ways. The governor said you got to lock your front door. So that's what I did. But I created a drive-through. So you just drive right through the building. And that was a huge success. People love it. I'm going to continue it through October. And because the winter is going to be a little chilly to be doing that sort of thing. But I do have, I'm going to be making an announcement of what else I'm going to be doing. Because, we have to find ways to work this out, to have people come to our place of businesses. And so that's what I've got this, and actually I'm going to announce it today as to what I'm going to do.
Good. I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, I'm going to announce it. And I'm also going to have a special, but we'll do this later on in the show. But we have to be diversified in how we handle things. And, I take the safety precautions, people come in with their mask on and, there's always just one person like inside the store, they're not going to be hoarding in here, but my drive-through has been really successful and people think it's really cool. So.
Remind folks where you're located, where your business is located.
I'm at 1379 North Monroe Street, just north of Stewart Road.
Okay, great. Well, we'll talk to you again in just a little bit. Right now, I would like to introduce the Grassleys, and the Grassleys own Floral City Images. Welcome to the forum.
Good morning, Becky. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So talk to me a little bit, just like Deb did, if you will, just a brief synopsis of how you guys have managed through the pandemic, the quarantine, and what your plans are moving forward.
Well, the pandemic has been very challenging for us. We do a lot of wedding photography, and we also have a mirror photo booth that's booked for a lot of wedding and senior graduation events. And of course, all of that is canceled. So we've been trying to make sure that we can rearrange our calendar for everybody that's rescheduling. And it's been a challenge. We normally we meet clients through bridal shows. We've had at least 2 that have been canceled so far. So we're trying to work social media and meet with clients virtually. Zoom has become our best friend. Yay. Yep. But we're just trying to keep up the presence online and go from there.
Yeah, it's been a godsend for everyone, I think, businesses to have social media. Zoom's become like the new word, hasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I'll get back to you guys in just a little bit. I'd like to bring on board now Jeff, the owner of the Little. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Becky. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Talk to us.
Morning.
I know you guys are doing a great amount of takeout now.
Yeah.
Are you tired?
You know what? Yeah, I posted on my personal Facebook Thursday. You know, I think I put it on the first time that my employees and myself we're tired. Yeah, we are. You know, we along with everybody here, and it's nice to meet everybody that I haven't met in person. I've heard all good things, all you guys. You know, all of our businesses in this state, and I feel like in this nation, completely had to do a 180. We had to do it for the safety of ourselves, for our communities, for our customers, for sure, and for our employees. So the ones that, you know, everybody that tried to keep the doors open however best they could, in my industry, that means putting everything in styrofoam boxes and sending it out the side door. It created different struggles in the industry, and we're tired, but everything's awesome. We're blessed to have a great customer base, to have thousands of carry-out boxes going out every single week. So I feel like we're ahead of the curve in that section. Just that we're being taken care of by a lot of great customers. So I've been out there for 6 years, and like I said, it's just been a pleasure being here today.
Great. We'll get back to you in just a little bit, Jeff, and we'll ask you a few more questions about moving forward.
Sounds great.
Yes. And next up, I'm going to introduce Joanna. Joanna is with Infinity Spot, a spot I know very well and can't wait to get back to. Good morning, Joanna.
Thanks, Becky. Thank you all for having me on the show today. It's definitely been a game changer to go almost 3 months now with no income, with no nothing.
Right.
I still have we have a pretty large staff, most of which are self-employed, and you know, I still have 3 girls that haven't gotten unemployment. So or I shouldn't say unemployment, but the pandemic unemployment. So it's definitely been challenging. We do some live shows to just liquidate some of our products and, you know, bring in anything that would just help pay the rent, you know, because I get that the owner of our building also has bills.
Right.
So they can't really put us out. So I've been trying to do anything I can, and it's definitely a struggle. I feel for, you know, all of our Monroe salons. There's not a whole lot we can do out this, you know, we can't really, you know, we've had multiple customers asking if we could mix their color for them, and you know, like, there's so many legalities in that you know, if we give out a professional product and something happens to them, our insurance isn't covering. It's just, you know, we try to get really creative with things, but there's so many legalities that are going to, you know, what's the risk worth at this point? So yeah, it's definitely been an interesting situation. And sadly, you know, we're seeing so many businesses this week alone saying that they had to close their doors. And it's just so hard. I mean, all of us, I think, on this call and all around would agree that it's just so hard to get everything going. You know, I'm in my sixth year, and I just finally got to the point where I was like feeling like I have everything in place now, and this happened. So it's very disheartening, you know, and I really hope that a lot of us can pull out of this. I really do.
Exactly. Yeah, your name has been brought up several times because not only do I frequent your business, but you're a friend of mine as well. Excuse me. But that's the biggest fear the longer this goes on, is those of you that have licenses to do your work, which is pretty much everybody on the panel, you use the word risk. How far do you risk? And you know, it's just not worth it in the long run. And I know right now, because we're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel like it's short, but in the scope of the eternity of your business, it will be a small amount of time, a vapor, if you will. But in the meantime, surviving. So Joanna, and I'm really interested to hear what some plans are to reopen, because your business is going to be very, very difficult, similar to that of a restaurant, on how to be open. We're going to jump, Joanna, we'll get back to you in just a minute. Jump real quick to Todd from Monroe Jiu-Jitsu. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, and you know, you just listen to everyone on the panel, and I moved back to Monroe about 3 years ago, and I started my business, Monroe Jiu-Jitsu, on East 2nd Street. And again, building momentum, and she just touched on that, like, you know, she was in a perfect spot before this happened, and I felt the same way. You know, my students, I was up to over 50 students. I was starting my kids program, doing some stuff in the community, and then here it comes. And I'm in a really tough spot because jiu-jitsu, self-defense, judo, everything that I do is hands-on, and it's really, really tight quarters type of training, similar to like a wrestling. And so I've just been trying to stay engaged with all my students. I've been sending out techniques. I've been trying to send positive little encouragement things every day. I'm doing the push-up challenge to kind of give goals for my students. I'm also doing the push-up challenge to promote all local business, trying to tell people how important it is to support everyone at this time. And, you know, I'm a positive person, but man, some days you wake up and it's just tough, because I try to go to my school every day and try to keep some type of normalcy, you know, like the same type of schedule, even though it's just me in there. And, you know, just go through the lessons that I want to teach the students when we kick off. But as I look around the country and some of my other friends are opening up their schools, it's a completely different landscape. Like, I'll have students call me up and say, well, in Florida or in Ohio, but I'm like, guys, they're not doing jiu-jitsu. What they're doing is they're doing exercises in a square with the people that they're quarantined with. So it's really not what you think it is. Yeah. So, you know, going forward, if I have to be creative, I'm gonna stay open as long as possible. And if it's conditioning, if it's running, if it's doing Zoom with a combination of the exercises, I'll battle into the as Tino will tell you, he's one of my students. I'll battle to the very last second. And the biggest thing is I just try to stay positive, encourage everybody here to, you know, support each other like we're doing, and tell everybody in the community, hey, we can get through this, especially in the time of doom and gloom where a lot of my friends are just like, I try to pull them up a little bit, because I don't like the doom and gloom, right? I mean, I know it is, but I try not to go there.
I know. And Todd, you've been a person of Monroe County that's been well known for many, many years. And you are a beacon of hope, a beacon of light, because of that perseverance that you have. And you'll push yourself. So I imagine a lot of people are looking at you right now. And every one of us, I'm sure, have down days. I know I do. It's like I'll feel like I'm on top of the world for 6 days, and all of a sudden I feel like I hit a brick wall emotionally and every other way.
100%.
Yeah, so we're going to get back to each of you, but right now I want to go back to our actual host of the program, Tino. Tino, come on in.
All right, all right. Well, you know what? A lot of good comments so far. And, you know, for us, you know, I own two businesses here in town. I've got my State Farm Insurance Agency that, you know, this agency has been here now for over 50 years. I took it over from a great, you know, insurance agent named Ken Rowe.
Right.
And when Ken retired, State Farm found me. They plucked me out of obscurity. I was opening restaurants and traveling the country, and I happened to meet a gal here in Monroe and had a bunch of babies and settled down. And so, you know, State Farm found me, and I was lucky enough, you know, blessed enough to be able to take this agency over after Ken retired. And I've been here now for going on 18 years, which is incredible to say out loud sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's been a great career. So then my family, we, you know, again, I was in the restaurant business. This 2021 will be 36 years in the restaurant industry. I'm an old man. And so I, you know, my family and I, we opened a restaurant in Ohio, and we decided to move it here to Monroe 5 years ago. And it's been great. I mean, it was, you know, I mean, kind of the same thing everyone else is saying, right? We were at a point now to where we actually had cash reserves. You know, I'm a big Dave Ramsey guy. And so, you know, we had cash reserves. We were kind of building up we just bought another building about 18 months ago north of here. We bought a liquor license. We're looking at location number 2. We have architects drawing up plans, you know, and we're old school Mexicans. We're paying cash for everything. And, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, I have to be honest, you know, March 16th was probably one of the scariest days for us because, you know, that day having to call my team in, you know, we called everyone in at 1:00 and kind of similar to Jeff's story. I made a bunch of food. We did what's called family meal. If you ever been in a restaurant, we do family meal where everyone, you know, usually the chef makes, you know, or the sous chef makes the meal, and we all sit around a table together. You know, we say grace at my place. Some places don't, but we do. And then everyone gets to eat. And that day we had to talk about, you know, closing.
Wow.
Possibly not opening or reopening because we didn't know. We didn't know what was going on or what the future held, right? You know, the other part of that conversation was my brother and I made the conscious decision to forego our salaries so that we could keep 27 people working because we didn't know what unemployment was going to look like. We didn't know what, you know, government assistance was going to be available. And the one thing I didn't want was for any one of my employees to leave that meeting going, you know, man, I got rent. I have, you know, you're talking, this is mid-month, right? So in 2 weeks, I've got rent due. I've got utilities due. We didn't want any of that. So we said up front, like, listen, we're going to keep you guys, I don't care if we're closed, we're going to pay you until we don't have any more money to pay you. Wow. At that point, we'll figure out plan B, you know? And so, you know, it's been, man, it's been frustrating, but I don't want to get into that yet. So it's been,
interrupt you, but on top of all of that, and I know Jeff, he can come, well, I know Jeff, you've done this as well. On top of all of the financial sacrifices, on top of all of the unknowns and the exhaustion and everything else, you guys are feeding first responders, and that care of the community, and that takes it to a whole nother level and of sacrifice. It really does. It really does. So I know just as a citizen of the community, I can't thank you guys enough for that. I know all businesses are doing some level of that, but I'm seeing it with restaurants and specifically with the two of your restaurants.
What I'll say real quick, to piggyback on Tino's, like, I think Tino's really a similar person to me, where when I get pushed into a corner, not really pushing a corner, but when I feel like, you know, there's not much I can do, my first instinct is to look out and see who I can help. And that was just the first responders right now. Tino and I, that's one thing that him and I held in common with our two restaurant establishments, is we know who we are with and without this community. And so I just took on the hospital because this is a global virus pandemic.
And it's just such a huge thing to do. It's a huge thing to do. And I just wanted you, Jeff and Tino, to know that those of us, we see you.
Yeah.
We see what you're doing. You're not boasting about it. None of you are, but we see you, and I just want you to know that.
Well,
So-
you know what? I appreciate that. And actually, I have to kind of throw it back to Todd for a second, because Todd can tell you, through martial arts training, and I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time before I met Todd. And we got connected through a mutual friend, Sean Falk, and probably one of the best relationships I've ever been able to form is with Todd Williams. But Todd will tell you, jiu-jitsu, martial arts, the mental aspect of it really teaches you, when you get backed into a corner, there's always a solution. There's always a way out of something. And Todd's great at teaching that. And I love, Todd, all the positive stuff you've been posting. And I think even last, a couple weeks ago, you and I spoke and you said, hey, doesn't mean I'm like happy every single day,
Right.
but I've got to find something positive about today. And I thought that was just super cool, man.
Yeah, with jiu-jitsu is like, as you know, Tino, it's like I teach my students comfortable in very uncomfortable situations. So that's carrying over right now. And I have to lead by example. If I have 50 people on my private page that you're on with my students, every single day I try to do something for them where they have like, hey, when's coach going to send us something? When's coach going to send us something to put even if it's just a smile on their face with a joke. Maybe I send them a joke that day, because they could be down, or maybe I do a special phone call, or maybe I stop by and see you and pick up your great chips and salsa, which I do about every other day.
Queso.
Yeah, and the case is awesome. But yeah, I think the martial arts that I teach has been a strong thing for me. But I know it's important for me to just step up, not only for my students, but also for the Monroe community. I'm from here. I love Monroe. I moved back from Florida to be part of the community and be close to family now that my daughters are older. And, and again, it seemed like everything was going in the right direction. And I would hear a lot of negative, even before this happened, like, hey, it's Monroe. I'm like, I know a lot of people, and I've met a lot of people since I've been back home, and I see a lot of great stuff happening. So I would kind of squash all the negative, and that's what I'm trying to do in the middle of this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciated. Absolutely. And one of the things too that I'm just going to throw this tab real quick, talk about just inspiration and keeping people in a better frame of mind. I think it's been so important, Deb, since the very beginning, that you've made it available to folks who couldn't see their loved ones to send a bouquet, to send something. And that's what I was so inspired by you about in the very beginning, is that you found a way to continue to do that. And again, we see you and we thank you for that sort of thing.
Well, I believe that flowers are the key to, to the heart. I use the phrase petals of the heart, and flowers do feed the soul. And everybody has a smile on their face when they receive them, whether it be at a funeral, whether it be at home, for whatever. And to me, it's just so important.
Yeah, and I think, and again, we'll talk to each of you about this and touch on it, just the cost of you doing business, because the thing is that these flowers are not from next door. These things, ship these in from around the world.
Well, the first few weeks was really crazy because everybody stopped shipping. All the flower places, because they come from South America, Ecuador, all that, they stopped shipping. And there was a video that was on Facebook where hundreds of thousands of flowers were put in a dumpster because they couldn't bring them here. I was fortunate that I did have a supplier that still had some flowers and kept me going for probably about the first month. And then he was able to get a truck here. And then I was running out of supplies. And there again, God's been good, and a supplier sent me a text and said, hey, we're going to open on Monday, one person in the building at a time, or curbside pickup.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, thank you, because, things were running out. And I was doing a lot of funerals. And, so it was very tough for the first month. And now flowers are starting to come, but not all of them, which is okay because we can make do with what we have. But it's so important for
It is. And Deb, we'll get back to you here in a minute. I wanted to bring the Grassleys back in for a second because with Floral City Images, because I want to ask you, is there any aspect of your business that is surviving during the pandemic, or has this been a true hold and wait for you?
You know, I'm going to say it's more a hold and wait
That's what
than anything. Using Zoom and our old contact list from bridal shows, probably about 6 or 7 months ago, we've been able to stay in front of a few folks, and then also Facebook and Instagram advertising, which is what we rolled out to kind of get us through this time. We booked the wedding yesterday by Zoom. We're meeting. So we're meeting with those clients through Zoom, and then we, you know, at some point when this whole thing's over, we invite them into the studio to
Right.
check it out and see what things are really like. But that's kind of the direction that we're going to get through this.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. And we'll get back to you in just a minute. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your brick and mortar, where you're located, and when you expect. Because with photography, I'm thinking there's a certain social distancing that could take place if it's just sort of portrait work. And now we are coming into the beautiful months. Just if you guys have a plan for that. So we'll be right back with you. But Joanna, I wanted to bring you back in real quick. You had mentioned that during the pandemic, and I'm aware of it, that you were literally in your place of business and not auctioning off, but you were selling a lot of your product that we all use. Have you come up with a game plan of what reopening is going to look like the steps that you think you can do to keep yourself and your client?
Well, the very frustrating part is that we're waiting for her to tell us what she's going to require. There's many states have been opening, so we've taken in all of what has been laid out for them so
Right.
far. Some of them are extensive. Some of them are a little bit laid back. So, I mean, we've got stockpiles of masks already. We've just kind of been buying, which is very difficult when you have no income and you've already blown through your savings. You know, like he said, you know, Dave Ramsey teaches you to do all this and have emergency funds, but I'm not emergency funding for my business. I was emergency funding for myself, you know. So I blew through that very quickly. I'm very close to being at the point where, what do I do? You know, do I continue to do this and is she going to extend it again? But like I said, we're just kind of taking everything in from what's around us and trying to have everything ready so that if and when she does open, we're not struggling to find, you know, I mean, we have I think 30 shower curtains in place just in case they make us cube off each. I mean, it's getting kind of silly, but we have a large salon, so if she makes us have a minimum, we're just going to space things out as we can and try to make something happen. But it's definitely frustrating, you know, even if she would just say June 14th or July 1st. I mean, give us something and give us time to prepare and make a plan and, you know, restructure if we need to. That's kind of where I'm at. You know, it would be nice to know if I should continue paying these bills or if I should call it a day, which I hope is not the case. So
Yeah, we agree. And one of the reasons I think that I really want the people of Monroe County, I can't tell people what to do. I wouldn't even consider doing that. But all the business owners in Monroe County, all of you have been so innovative and you've been so patient and you have not gone against the rules. You are not doing hair in the back alley. Do you know what I mean? Are not having private parties in their restaurants. That's not happening. So since you've been so patient and hopefully we're so close to reopening, I implore everyone to wait it out. And our folks will be back in business. Let's continue to support them in that way. So Tina, go back to you real quick and get your take on, if you will, what your plans are and what you, and you know, obviously we can bring Jeff in on this, what your plans are, what you think it's going to look like when the restaurants finally do open.
You know, so kind of the same thing Joanna just said. I mean, right now, and Jeff can attest to this, you know, I spoke with the health department last week and they haven't gotten anything. So, you know, so we're kind of same thing. I'm looking at other states. I'm fortunate. You know, I go back and forth to Los Angeles, and so I'm looking at, they're one of the strictest right now with Washington State. Some of the things they're doing with making people sign into restaurants, having to have their temperature taken when they walk in. You know, right now what we're being told is it might be only 25% capacity. So for me, my restaurant, when you factor in the employees and everything else, you're talking 15 people at a time. You know, that doesn't pay any bills for me. And I hate to say it that way, but I still have salaries to pay. I still have taxes, because guess what? They still want the tax money. They still want all the other, you know, all the other things that go along with it. My landlord's not going to say, you know what, trust me, my landlord is not going to say, don't worry about paying me. That's not going to happen. So, you know, so with all that, I mean, like with what Joanna is saying, I mean, it's like, you know, you come into year 5, year 6 for her, and you think you're kind of setting yourself up, and then all of a sudden, you know, you get punched in the gut. And it's almost like you're starting over from scratch. You know, you've built up this business in this community, and you have a lot of community involvement, and then all of a sudden, just in one day, it almost feels like it's all gone, you know, and there's nothing you can do to grab it.
The other thing too, Tino, is that for many of your businesses, you've been taking risks all along.
Oh, absolutely.
Like have risks to come back to Michigan and to, you know, in all of the restaurant, all of you that own restaurants, it's a risk business, and you take chances all the time. I know Joanna started in one small unit, is now busted into 3. You know what I'm saying? It's risky. It was.
I do. I know. I have Joanna insured, so I've got a vested interest in her staying alive, man. Come on.
Yeah. So no, you know, I think the one question, Jeff, and you can tell me if it's an issue or not. But what I'm seeing like an undercurrent of those people that have waiters and waitresses, that if they're not working and on unemployment, that it's almost more attractive for them to stay on unemployment as opposed to coming back to work, which would then cost you in that you'd have to do new hires, new training, and such. Is that an issue on top of everything else for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, so I'm sorry, Joanna, was that for you or for?
No, sorry.
Okay, gotcha. It's nice. Help was hard to come by. You know, solid, good help was hard to come by 4 months ago. I try to take care of my employees. I try to treat them fairly, just like I was treated by some great bosses. But with the monies that are coming in for unemployment and stuff, it is very attractive. I have 15 folks, great folks on my payroll. I've actually hired 2 new employees since this pandemic, but I've also lost a couple dishwashers. I lost a dishwasher. I lost a cook to unemployment, and then I also lost temporarily my kitchen manager 3 months ago, and then one of my day shift chefs because of their partners having underlying health issues. So I totally understood that. We're still in talks of potentially bringing them back because we feel like we have flattened the curve. One thing I will say is with one of my major concerns is within my county, Monroe County, where I believe we all are, where we all do business. I talked to Tino, and I've talked to a lot of my friends. One of my concerns, my biggest concerns, is our closeness to distance to the state of Ohio. Right. And Joanna, this is a bartender and chef haircut in the men's restroom of the Little Brown Jug. I'm not traveling to Ohio to get a haircut. I'm not sending my family to Cinco de Mayo and having margaritas and burritos, Tino, I assure you. And I'm not much of a jiu-jitsu, so I'm not going to. My concern first is losing potential revenue to the state of Ohio, and then I think, again, we have at least 3 weeks, and Toledo, Ohio is wide open right now, and some of my servers, some of my cooks, some of my bartenders, they're closer to Ohio than they are to maybe Monroe, Dundee, and Ohio is hiring right now. So now I'm competing with trying to keep good help in my establishment, paying them a fraction of what they were making when my doors were open, because now everything's in styrofoam, and I'm basically just, would you like to put a tip on the credit card, for the person bringing it out to your car? And believe me, we have been blessed, but it is a fraction of what they're used to making. We're too close to Ohio. And I think 3 weeks is really going to drain the Michigan small business. And I don't, by no means am I saying that I am ready to open the Little Brown Jug, or that I think the state of Michigan is ready. I'm a firm believer, and this is not politically based. This is not by any means. I believe in, the federal government doing their thing, and I think the state trickles down to the county, and I think the state takes care of, our county, and I think that for the most part that's happening. Not in a global pandemic. I almost feel like we need a little bit more federal assistance just to get everybody on the same page, all the states on the same page, and the lack of, okay, so there's information coming in, and I'm reading it, and I'm fortunate enough to have employees still on staff that I'm working with every single day, to where I can talk to them about these potential changes and the things that the CDC are telling us, the NRA are telling us, the MLBA. It's mostly common practice that the restaurant industry has been doing. Obviously, the social distancing plays a major factor, and the repeatingness of we're going to now schedule top to bottom cleanings. But other than the little things that we're tweaking, our local, our state, and our federal government has not told me exactly what to do.
Yeah, and I do think that that's a hardship, like Joanna said, and I'm sure Deb's finding the same thing, is if you had an actual playbook on what it looks like to reopen, because, and again, you need time to get those things in place. You could get the news that you can open Tuesday, but it's a lot of legwork and money, because none of it comes free. If you have to have, isolation between booths or more masks or more, that's money.
I was, and I'll be quiet. I'm a talker, everybody. I apologize, but I was kind of, when I got the news Monday afternoon that the state was going to open the Upper Peninsula, the first thing I thought of was I was like dancing. I started playing music and stuff, and then I would say probably less than 15 minutes. I started putting two together, because I was thinking about all my brothers and sisters in Traverse City that owned restaurants and bars, and I thought about what they had to do in 3 business days.
Right.
I mean, and I'm operating. I'm operating. My doors are closed. I'm curbside carryout only since March 16th. Correct. So it would be so much legwork for me. It'd be so much legwork for me to get fresh. It'd be wild, and for them to. It's just. I think.
Hey, Jeff. Jeff, real quick, over a holiday weekend, no less.
Oh, thank you, Tino. And you can piggyback. I'm going to be quiet. Go ahead and piggyback. And what you would have to do, being operating currently, Tino, you were in the kitchen last night like I was, right?
Absolutely.
Think about opening on Wednesday.
Yeah, what
do you have to do?
you know what? There's no way. I had a guest come in, and last night, and he said, "Hey, I noticed you're not doing the seasonal tacos. I noticed you're not doing the, the seasonal salad. I noticed you're not." And I said, "Well, my big farm is in Ohio. I've got no shame in telling everyone my big farm is in Tiffin, Ohio." And I said, "Well, I can't get anything from them. So a lot of the kale and some of the really good stuff that we normally have, I can't get.
Right.
My mushrooms I ship in from Pennsylvania, and the person that forages for us, I mean, without any notice at all, just said, 'Hey, we're not shipping to Michigan. Sorry.'" And so we were out of mushrooms for, almost a month, and then finally we started getting those back in. But, but I mean, it's been a struggle, man. It's been a struggle. And to piggyback off of what Jeff said, and to maybe bring in the Grassleys and Joanna, and I guess everyone could talk about this, the proximity to Ohio. I mean, like, oh, look, this is what you can expect. Patio's full. They aren't social distancing at some of these places, right? Patio's full. Everyone's having a good time. And I'm putting food in a plastic container still, to try to pay some bills. I mean, so I appreciate you going out and having a good time, but you live in Monroe, man. I mean, get the takeout, and you don't have to get it from me. Get it from the Jug, get it from Pete's, get it from wherever,
Right.
but keep the money here. Keep it local, suffer with me. But anyway, I digress. Next.
No, you're right now. The hot button issues I wanted to talk about real quick, and I don't mean to, and I'm not making it political. It's just it's the reality of what's happening. Is that we love social media in the times like this because it is helpful, but it's also hurtful. And the way that I notice that it's hurtful is that you are seeing friends and family and other people in our county, Monroe County, flocking to Ohio to stay the night, recreation. And again, it's literally, it's not political, it's a difference of opinion. And the thing that's become difficult for me, and again, I'll scroll by it, but you can't ignore it, is the fight that's going on.
Well, the thing is they think they're hurting the governor, right? They think that they're spitting in the governor's face by doing it. They're not hurting the governor. They're hurting us. They're hurting the small business owners that are in this community trying to keep things going. That's who's getting hurt.
Right. And then in along with that, with the same brush, if you will, is they're hurting their friends because the language they're using, arrogance is very arrogant to assume someone's ignorant because they don't agree with you. So there's that. So we need to take that out of it. I just really implore everyone, and that's a big message with Monroe County Radio, is please shop. Please stay local. This thing will blow over. Our big problem is who's going to be standing. And this is my opinion. This is not an opinion of Monroe County Radio, but it is my opinion that Meijer, Walmart, and Kroger are going to stand. But Danny Market and Highlight Supermarket, that's where we need to spend our money.
Yes.
At Radio, all of our advertisers are locally owned. We don't do or national. It's all people from Monroe County that own businesses. So you guys are our heart and soul. And this has become a mission for me, is to just implore people, listen, give yourself a bad haircut if you need to. Sorry, because you're going to
You're about ready, Todd. You're about ready.
Right. But
I'm doing gray over here. I'm waiting for Joanna to open up.
I know. We miss her. I told my husband about 8 times yesterday, oh my God, I can't wait to see Joanna. I know. But Deb, I'm going to throw it to you real quick. Tell us what your announcement is, if you will.
Well, I'm all for keeping people safe, and, that includes everybody. So I decided that through my big drive-through, we're also going to have Deb's Flower Market, which means you will be able to come in every day, and it's going to be about a week or so before this happens, and you'll be able to pick single flowers out of buckets and make your own bouquet up.
Very cool.
And then, I'm going to have, there's going to be a lot of different goodies along the way with it also, but it's, they do a lot of that in different states that are, they're more, their temperatures are better. But for the rest of the summer, I'm going to just do that to make it, a different kind of experience for people. And you
Great
get to drive through doing it. You
Yep.
don't even have to get out of your car.
Great
So-
idea.
I
Great.
love that for the kiddos. Awesome, Deb.
That'd be it.
Yeah.
Just, like I said, there's going to be a lot of other things along the way with it, but it's just going to be something new for Monroe, and you don't even have to get out of your car.
I think that's amazing. That's you. That's so
Awesome.
you. Box. What we're going to do right now in order to wrap it up a little bit is, Deb, I want to focus on you at the moment. Again, just tell folks how to get a hold of you. And one thing I want you all to be thinking about, because as I pull you up on the forum, is what can we do to help you right now? What can we do to help you right now? So Deb, let us know. Give us all your contact information and what can we do to help you?
Okay, well, I'm at 1379 North Monroe Street. My phone number is 384-8888. The thing to help me is, one, send flowers, so important. Even if you can't attend that funeral, they need flowers in it. I've watched numerous ones on the viral, and there's no flowers, and they need them, And support all small businesses. They need us. We need you. So just keep going, keep Monroe strong. Stay in your community, and just keep it going.
Thanks. Thanks. Okay, now we bring the Grassleys back in with Floral City Images.
You're on the spot.
First, tell us how people can contact you, whether it's social media, phone numbers, websites, brick and mortar.
Well, we're located at 47 South Monroe Street. I'm just down the road from Martin's.
Yep.
And a half a block from Tino, my favorite lunch spot. And he delivers.
And
You can't miss our storefront. It's orange and white, which is orange is our color here. The phone number is 855-4-PHOTO-1.
oh,
855-474-6861. And I'm extension 3.
Well, I think one of the things that people can do is to schedule your family portrait session you've been putting off forever and ever. And we can schedule senior photo sessions. And of course, if you're planning a wedding, give us a call and go to the website, floralcityimages.com.
very good. Yeah, thank you so much. And I think it's so important because, again, you guys are one of the industries that, like I had asked earlier in the session, it's just sort of, it's at a standstill. So that is very difficult. And I do think getting your face out there, your name out there, what you're able to do out there, it just refreshes people, because once this thing opens up, everyone's going to need to get back to life. And part of that is photography, is the senior photos coming up, all those things, the weddings, so many of them getting postponed. But thank you so very much. Next, we're going to bring Jeff back in. And Jeff, talk to us about, remind everyone where you're located and how to get a hold of you. Have an online menu, that type of thing right now.
All right, gang. Jeff Ott, Little Brown Jug. I'm at 7697 Blue Bush Road out in beautiful, maybe Michigan, United States of America. We are currently, our doors are closed to the public. We are just doing carry out curbside. Give us a call at 734-587-2343. The best way that you can help me and my current 15 staffs is just get a burger in a box, and don't get it from me. Get it from, like Tino said, these small businesses that are struggling. And I'm not even opposed to you going to an Applebee's. What I always tell people is, just see what those people and what those staff are doing for your community before you give money to something. On that note, I know you weren't asked this question. I have to bring it up, and I apologize if all of you folks, we need to do a really good job and take care of our staff right now. We need to take care of our own mental health, but we really need to kind of keep a keen eye on our employees right now. My concern is with depression,
Yeah.
addiction, a lot of things that a lot of people every day are struggling with, that you and I can't really help anybody. There's nothing we can really go to a building and help somebody. But what we can do is we can help people that we are in contact with. That means staying positive. I've always said, since I briefly worked in the corporate world, and they said keep it above the line. I love that, and I just try to say, I set a precedence for myself, and I try to stay above there, and not. And some days I come back to that line, but I try to never drop down. That's where I start punching street lamps. So it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Some of you, like I said, meeting you. I'd like to get connected. The best thing you can do for small business is just support us. Whatever we're doing right now. Everybody needs help right now.
Yeah, and Jeff, I'm glad that you brought that up. The thing about depression, and there's a lot to be worried about in that vein. The founder of Monroe County Radio, Michelle Pallet, actually happens to be one of my best friends, but she and I speak on a daily basis, always have, always will. And that is one of the things that she's working on right now with Monroe County Radio, talking about depression, the suicide, the abuse, addiction, all the things and bubbling to the surface for a lot of people. Not a lot of people are talking about it, but we are concerned about our community. And Michelle specifically is spearheading a program about that. So you'll do something with Monroe County Radio about that soon. But thank you for bringing that up. Okay, Joanna, honey, what can we do? Tell everybody where you're at, what we can do right now to help.
It's such a good question. I've kind of told everyone in our staff just to start making days. We've rescheduled people so many times and for so many hours of our time, thinking we were going to be able to open. So we just started collaborating lists, at day 1, day 2, and just kind of filling them in. And I forwarded our salon phones to my cell phone, so I get calls daily. And like they said, being so close to Ohio, it's so sad because I understand at this point, I can't blame them. I myself am only 8 miles from Alexis Road, so it's like, I get it at this point. I mean, you want to tell people to wait for you, but then you feel selfish saying that because at this point, it's gotten to be so long, and so I guess, if you guys are looking for a new place once we're open,
yep,
that would be great. And you can always call or text me individually or whatever you want to do. But basically, we're just trying to compile a list and tackle it. Once we're able to open, we'll probably be open 7 days a week, just to try to get ahead of everything. The sad thing is that it's going to be a race. It literally is going to be like a race. How many can we get done? Because everybody's going to go to whomever will take them the first, So as much as we have a pretty loyal clientele, and we have a staff of 16 people, which ones will be able to work, due to childcare, due to health, there's so many what ifs, and that's really the hard thing for someone in my spot and all the salons really. Is battling that whole unemployment thing that you touched on, because some of my workers are making more money being home with their babies, so now I finally hurdle over this, months of off, and now I kind of retract back to who do I have left? And again, I took it on this entire time and I didn't take rent, which I know not everyone can do, but I just felt like that was the thing to do. And I'm pretty much told them the other day, guys, I have to. At this point, if you want a spot to come back to work, you have to work with me because I have nothing left. So, I feel like for a lot of us, we're getting to this point, but we are still going to have a mountain to climb once we are able to open, because we're just not sure what the future holds. What does our staff look like? And not in a negative aspect, simply because they're trying to look at what is best for their family, what is best for their situation. Do they have childcare? Is their husband still working? There's so many things to look at. And like I said, it would just be wonderful if she would just give us some type of requirements and you know, some type of dates to get us to a point where we can look at it and say, okay, here's what we're gonna do. This is what we can do, you know. And so, like I said, what can you do? I pray, pray.
Very good.
I guess that's all I have at this point.
You know, Joanne, I thank you so much for that. And yeah, and it's like Jeff was saying, just a tick list that you can go down and say, check, 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 check. Do some of that preliminary stuff rather than like his siblings north get slammed with it on a holiday weekend. Joanne, let me ask you a question, and I apologize if this makes you uncomfortable, but how about if people buy gift certificates from you right now?
You know, I hope this doesn't sound negative, but I have gone over so many things in my head, and I lay at night thinking, okay, how could I do this? How could I do that? One thing I will leak is we're looking at a possibility of merging, you know, different entities, but together with Sage Medi Spa, where our estheticians are going to be able to take on a lot more services under a doctor care. So that's kind of something that's going to be possible, hopefully still. And also will allow us to have another location to spread people out more. So it'll allow more of our salon staff to work in the same space. So I'm having a hard time with the gift certificate option simply because, as I stated before, I don't know who's going to be able to come back. So what I don't want to do is put myself in another situation that I owe the community so much. And if I'm not able to deliver, I didn't want to put that on myself. So, you know, if I sell these, you know, packages per se, and then I don't have a massage therapist available when they want to redeem them, I just didn't want to put one more thing on top of myself to have to figure out. So I did kind of refrain from that just because of that. And like I said, I had a lot of people texting me, asking me, and if it wasn't specifically for me, I just didn't feel comfortable doing it, because I know if the salon didn't make it, which I really hope it will, if it didn't, I knew I could take care of the people that I, you know, did that for, but I couldn't say that for everyone at this point because there's so many factors. So again,
every industry is so specific. You know what I mean? Every industry is so specific to their issues, and that makes total sense now that you've said it. So hopefully who have been thinking that same thing, that would clear it up for them. But one thing I do out is, as dismal as this is, here you are planning to expand, and that's a beautiful thing, Joanna. In the midst of this quicksand that we all feel like we're living in, here you are planning to expand. So that's a beautiful thing. So Joanna, did you want to throw any contact information out at this point, or do you want to hold off on that until we know more?
Yeah, I mean, currently we're going to be located at 970 South Telegraph Road for the time being. I hope we don't have to move, but like I said, I'm just kind of taking in every option. I've been kind of scouting out areas in Monroe that maybe I could purchase to maybe keep my rent a little bit lower, or just little options that might help me gain a little backing, I guess, again. But currently, yes, we're just staying at this South Telegraph Road area, and Sage Medi Spa is actually in our same strip mall and a few doors down. So it's going to be kind of nice. Like I said, she had some space available, and so it's going to be a possible option that our spa is going to be able to work with her, which essentially is going to allow me to let, you know, more of our 13 stylists spread out through our 3-store area. So we're hoping that it's by store. So if she gives us a minimum, we can, you know, space out through that versus just the one business itself. So again, still waiting on what she's going to require, but that's kind of things that we're brainstorming to kind of make it through.
All right. Well, that gives me something to look forward to. Joanna, thank you so much. So Todd, let's what can we do for you, Todd? And if you about information one more time for us.
With jiu-jitsu, I think, you know, like you said, every channel is going to have a different way of opening up. And I honestly, not to be negative, but I think jiu-jitsu is going to be one of the last things to open up. I mean, because you can't do jiu-jitsu with social distancing. So for the Monroe community, I mean, how you can help me is continue to be positive. Use your social media platforms a lot in a positive way, and don't think because you don't get 100 likes or 50 likes or 2 likes that people aren't looking. They're always looking. So like if I go to Amaya's or Public, wherever I go, I always put something like, hey, I had a great experience here. I had a great experience here. I picked up flowers here. I'm constantly being positive on social media, and I try to delete all negative. And that doesn't mean politically or whatever, but anytime I see that, not that I'm trying to put my head in the sand, but at the end of the day, negative doesn't do anything good, you know?
Right.
So continue to shop local, continue to share positive information, no matter what you think. I mean, no matter what you're doing, people are watching. And I think that's a trickle down where they're going to go, even if you can get an extra 5 people a week to go, I'm going to go to Amaya's, or I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there. That's going to help us all. When we do get back started, I'm going to do some things. I've been blessed to be, let's say, with my space downtown. I love my space. I'm sharing the space with Melissa Whited at Mindful Movement Yoga. So she's also, you know, watching the news every day to when she can open back up. But, you know, I know with Monroe Jiu-Jitsu, when we do open up, I'm going to try to help as much as I can, like reducing my prices when people come in, doing more promotions, trying to be even more involved in the community, how important safety is. But right now, I'm just trying to help as many people as I possibly can. And if it comes a time, hopefully you guys will hire me, because I might need a job.
Well, you know, Todd, I just want to encourage you to continue to be the happy for us. Right? Really.
I'm on speaker. Give me like 2 minutes, okay, baby?
Try to see something to be positive, look forward to. So thank you so much. And I'm going to throw it back to Tino now, back to our actual host. And Tino, tell Will the same question. What can we help? What can we do to help?
Well, you know what? First off, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time, you know, on a Sunday morning to get up early. And Jeff, thank you for doing your hair. You know, thank you guys seriously for being here. You know, I'm gonna say to Joanna, I don't feel bad at all about asking people to wait. I don't feel bad at all about begging our community to suffer through this with us. Yeah, I mean, you know, the proximity to Toledo is scary. But I am going to ask the community to support all the small businesses here in Monroe County. Support local. I'm not asking you to come to my restaurant. I'm not asking you to come into my insurance to get a quote. I'm saying, you know, look, if you have a favorite, La Fiesta is right down the road from me, okay? If that's your favorite joint, trust me, they need help right now. El Maguey, they just bought this new building. They remodeled it. They were getting ready to do a grand opening, and guess what? COVID hit. Oh. They had to shut down. You know, they haven't even been able to open. Guess what? Go see Gus. Go see the family. They're a great family. Please go and spend your dollars there, okay? You know, yesterday I went out to Mrs. Fields Cookies. You know, Jody and Bob Gagne just opened back up. They're only open limited hours right now, Thursday through Sunday. But, you know, they're struggling, man, because nobody thinks about what's going on at that mall, and you forget about them. So remember them. You know, and I guess lastly is, even if you don't want to come to my restaurant, I've had people do wellness checks, and I absolutely love that. I had some really good friends that, you know, a very good friend of mine, his wife has a compromised immune system. And so he said, hey, Tino, he's like, man, I can't come in to eat. I'm afraid, or, you know, we don't want to risk her health. So he said, you know, I just wanted to call though and let you know. And so far he and I have texted once a week to each other. He texts me every single week just to say, what's going on? How's it going? Yesterday he dropped off a DVD of a church service that they had last week at his church. And, you know, he kind of walked in with his mask and his gloves on, set it down on the counter, and then walked out and called me from his phone, you know, and, you know, stuff like that, man. Just keep doing things like that. Todd, you know, the positivity, I mean, you know, the push-up challenge, you know, being able to see you do stuff, and, you know, out on the golf course when you made Santa Maria, is it Alan? You made Alan do push-ups. I'm guessing he beat you, but so you forced him to do push-ups. But that stuff, Jeff, I mean, the positivity that you've been bringing, man, it's been incredible. Deb, the innovation, keep doing those things and letting the community know what's happening. Sue, Dave, I mean, you guys are innovating your one of your mirrors. You were telling me yesterday about how you're going to go touchless with it, and you have opportunities to do some other things to try and at least recoup some of that business that you're losing right now. And Joanna, man, my heart is breaking for you the most, really, because you have no opportunity right now to make any money whatsoever. Not to say that it's any worse than anyone else. I'm not saying that, but it's just, I know that you've been trying to do everything you can to keep your business going. And I am going to pray for you. And I hope and pray that, in another couple weeks, we're going to be seeing you do a grand opening, and we're going to be hearing about all the services that you have going on. And you're still going to be here in Monroe County because you do a lot. You and your whole family do a lot here in Monroe County, and you've been just very instrumental in growing with the community. So we definitely be praying for you. So thank you guys so much. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I definitely want to say thank you all so much. Anyone have any last things that they want to add before we sign off?
I would just very quickly like to say that as sales director with Monroe County Radio and working with Tino on the Monday Morning Business Boost, for all of you on the forum today, and for all of you listening out there that have a small business, when you are up and going or prior to up and going, please contact Tino or myself, and we will do a small feature on you to get the word out of how your business will operate. That's something that we would be, I'm sure, well, Tino, I'm throwing you under the bus here and just giving you another. But I think it's something that, for instance, when the restaurant opens or a hair salon opens, or you're able to resume your business in any way, shape, or form, let us know. We have a huge listening audience. We have a very healthy social media following with Monroe County Radio. We will get that word out there for you. So, and again, thank you so much, Tino, for having been a part of this today.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks, Tino. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Tino, thank you.